All right, ready to dive in. Today, we're looking at MetaQuant.
MetaQuant, okay.
Yeah.
I've heard some buzz, something about trading software.
Yeah, and it's not just your run-of-the-mill platform either. Think of it this way. Imagine the stock market, but it's playing out like a video game right there on your screen.
Okay, now that's an image. That's got to be a pretty intense visual experience.
That's what makes this deep dive so interesting. MetaQuant has a user tutorial that we're breaking down, and let me tell you, this thing is packed with features. They're not messing around when it comes to user-friendliness, that's for sure. Right off the bat, they lay it all out. Minimum system requirements, 1.5 GHz processor, 4 gigs of RAM. But they don't stop there, oh no.
Let me guess. They have recommendations, too, for those of us who like a little more juice.
Exactly. They recommend at least a 2.5 to 3.5 GHz i5 or Ryzen processor, 8 to 12 gigabytes of RAM, and an SSD. Speed is key.
Makes sense, especially with all that visual data they're throwing around. So you need some serious hardware to run this thing then.
Well, that's the thing. You don't even need a separate trading platform, just the software, your web browser, and MetaMask.
MetaMask, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting. For those who might not be familiar, MetaMask is a crypto wallet often used to interact with, blockchain applications and all that.
Exactly. Which makes you wonder.
It definitely hints at their target audience and what this software might be capable of within the crypto world.
Right. And speaking of getting started, the tutorial lays out this super simple setup. Go to their website, log in with MetaMask, and boom, you're greeted with a Bitcoin BTCU, SDT, or ETHUSDT chart.
Logical starting point, I guess, with that whole crypto connection we were just talking about.
For sure. But there's a line in the tutorial that mentions main U.S. stocks as a supported instrument. What do you make of that?
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's like they're starting with crypto, but hinting at a much broader scope. Makes you wonder if they're planning to expand beyond just the crypto market.
Ooh, good point. Maybe MetaQuant wants to be the platform for visualizing all sorts of assets, not just crypto.
Now, that would be interesting to see. But for now, let's stick with what we know. It seems like crypto is their main focus, at least initially.
Okay, so basic setup, check. Now let's talk about the visuals. They call the main display the BM frame.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Forget your grandpa's candlestick charts, right? We're talking 3D representation of the order book, buy and sell orders, price action, even heat maps.
Heat maps, wow.
All swirling around in this dynamic visual feast, really. It's wild.
It's like those holographic displays you see in sci-fi movies, but instead of spaceships, it's buy and sell orders going head-to-head.
Exactly. And it really makes you wonder.
About how they'll expand beyond just crypto.
Yeah. Imagine being able to analyze, like, the stock market, Forex, all within this 3D environment.
That would be a game changer for traders. To have it all in one place, visualized like that. Incredible. But okay, for now, let's focus on the crypto side. How do you actually interact with all this data? The tutorial mentions a setup menu. Sounds important.
It's basically mission control for customizing your view. You could switch between different exchanges like Binance, FTX, BitMEX. They're even adding more, it seems like, Kraken and Bitfinex.
So no matter where you like to trade, they've got you covered.
It seems that way. And then, of course, you can choose your trading instruments. Cryptocurrencies, Forex, and yes, even those U.S. stocks we mentioned earlier.
It's like they're teasing us with the possibilities.
A little bit, yeah. But here's the real kicker. The visual customization. You can change the camera angle to see the data from different perspectives. They have a front view, an X-wing mode, even a 2D old school style, for those who like it classic.
Okay, the 2D old school option, I have to admit, that made me laugh.
Right. It's like they're acknowledging the old way while ushering in this whole new era of market visualization. But it's cool, yeah?
I get it. Not everyone wants to analyze the markets like they're flying an X-wing.
Exactly. Sometimes you just want a plain old chart. But for those who are ready to embrace the future of trading visualization.
It's impressive. You can adjust how liquidity is displayed, tweak the colors. It's all about making the experience feel tailor-made.
And that level of personalization is something you don't always see in trading tools.
Mm-hmm.
Some basic customization, sure, but this seems different.
It's like they're saying, this is your trading dashboard, make it yours. But with all that data, it's got to feel overwhelming sometimes.
You'd think so, but they've thought of that too. There's a hide button to clear the clutter so you can focus on the core visuals.
Mm-hmm.
And for even more fine-tuning, there's the options button.
Yes, the options button. The tutorial mentions it lets you adjust the refresh rate, scaling, all sorts of things. And get this, graphic templates.
Graphic templates, what are those?
Apparently, there are 11 different visual styles to choose from. 11. You can completely personalize the look and feel of the data.
Wow, 11. They really weren't kidding about the customization.
It's like they looked at video games and said, let's make market analysis visually engaging and customizable.
And with that many options, they've probably covered just about every preference.
It really makes you realize they've thought of everything, haven't they? Blending complex analysis with like a playful visual style. But they haven't forgotten about us data nerds who still like a more traditional approach. That's where the tape beat window comes in, right?
Yes, the tapey window. This is where you dive into the nitty-gritty, all that time and sales data. And they've even included some seriously insightful analytical tools right there.
One in particular caught my eye, the, quote, stuffing analysis section. I'll be honest, that name kind of threw me off at first. Quote, stuffing. What even is that, and why would I want to analyze it?
Sounds shady, right? Basically, it's a tactic, sometimes used in, market manipulation.
Yeah.
Traders rapidly placing, then canceling large orders, trying to create a false impression of, supplier demand. See a flood of buy orders, think everyone's jumping in, but then, poof, they vanish a second later. That could be, quote, stuffing.
So with this, quote, stuffing analysis in MetaQuant, I could actually see these potentially manipulative orders happening in real time.
Exactly. It's like having X-ray vision for the market. You're not just seeing the aftermath, you're seeing the manipulation or the attempt as it happens.
Whoa, that's a game changer for sure. Talk about transparency. But it's not all about spotting the bad guys, right? There's also the power meter mentioned in the tutorial within that same tape window. What's that all about?
The power meter. Well, that's a clever way to visualize the balance of power between buyers and sellers in the order book. Imagine, a visual representation of the pressure building on both sides.
Okay, I'm picturing it. So if I'm seeing a lot of green on the power meter, that means strong buying pressure, potentially pushing the price up.
You got it. Green for the buyers, red for the sellers. It gives you a quick read on market sentiment where the price might be headed, all based on the weight of those orders.
It's really remarkable how they've taken something as complex as, order book dynamics and made it so visually intuitive.
They've definitely found a way to gamify market analysis. And not in a gimmicky way, it's actually informative, engaging even.
I'm honestly blown away by how much thought they've put into this software. We've covered so much ground already, from the basics to spotting potential market manipulation.
And we're not even done yet. It really highlights how technology is changing the game for traders, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And it's not just about making it prettier, it's about making these advanced tools accessible to everyone.
Leveling the playing field a bit, perhaps?
Yeah.
But with any new tech, especially one this disruptive, you have to wonder, what are the broader implications here? What happens when everyone has access to these tools?
Right, could it actually change the way markets behave? I mean, if everyone can suddenly see these real-time visualizations, analyze the data at this depth, could that make the markets more volatile, faster?
It's definitely something to consider. If everyone's reacting more quickly, based on the same data, it could make things a bit more turbulent, at least in the short term.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What happens when everyone has access to this kind of information, these tools?
Right. It's like suddenly everyone's playing the market on a whole new level.
Exactly. And not just individuals. I mean, institutions are going to be using this tech too, right?
Of course. Which makes that potential for volatility even more, potent. Imagine algorithms battling it out, all armed with the insights from these visualizations.
Wow, it's almost like we can't even predict what that would look like, how the markets would behave.
That's uncharted territory, for sure. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Disruption can lead to progress.
True. Maybe this kind of tech actually forces the markets to become more efficient in the long run.
It's possible. More transparency, more informed decisions could lead to a more stable market overall.
It's a fascinating thought experiment, really. Short-term chaos, maybe, but long-term, who knows? It's almost like we're talking about a fundamental shift in how markets work.
We might be. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Even with the most user-friendly design, there's always a learning curve with new tech, right?
Oh, absolutely. Just because you have access to the tools doesn't mean you know how to use them effectively.
Exactly. People will need time to adapt, to really understand how to interpret all that visual information. It's not a magic bullet by any means.
No software can replace good old-fashioned. They've given us this incredibly powerful engine, but we still need to learn how to drive the car.
Well said. It's a powerful analogy. It's about more than just the tech. It's about how we adapt as traders, as
Right.
investors, to this new landscape.
This has been a really thought-provoking deep dive, I have to say. We've covered so much ground, from the user experience to the potential impact on the markets as a whole.
And everything in between. It's not every day you get to unpack something as potentially groundbreaking as MetaQuant.
It really makes you think about the future of trading, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What else is possible?
That's the beauty of it, isn't it? The possibilities are endless. And to our listeners, we leave you with this. What if this is just the beginning? What if tools like MetaQuant are the first step towards a future where anyone, regardless of their background, can explore the markets with the same level of insight and sophistication? The future of finance is full of exciting possibilities, and we can't wait to see where it takes us.